So in complex trauma, when a child lives with abuse and neglect and chaos, if life is starting to go smoothly, usually in their mind, something bad is about to happen. The other shoe is about to drop. Dad has been nice now for a few days, but now dad's about to get angry again. It's all about to go downhill. And so that sets up a system in the brain that as soon as things start going smoothly, the other shoe is about to drop. So the next one for people is, if I succeed at something, when my life has been chaotic, when my life has been struggling and failing and not doing well, if I start succeeding, that puts me in a place where it's all brand new. It's change. It's unknown. I might not know how to handle it. I might fail. I might get hurt. And I might be exposed as being an imposter. Oh, you don't belong here. You're really not good at this. You're just acting here. This isn't the real you. And everybody's going to see how terrible I am. So to succeed is to put myself more visible. And it's to put myself in change and in the unknown, all of the things that I'm afraid of. The next one is that if I'm successful, then people will notice me, but then they might start expecting more of me. So I won't be able to remain invisible. I won't be able to remain somewhat irresponsible. I won't be able to just do my little wee bits of taking care of me. I now will have greater expectations placed on me. So that then leads to the next characteristic that comes out of the fear of success, and that is sabotaging good things. So the child says, if things are going well, the other shoe's about to drop, everything's going to fall apart, so I might as well just get it over with. I will sabotage things. I will get dad angry. I will make things worse. I'll make that shoe drop. What the child is thinking that is, hopefully I can control the amount of pain delivered if I am bringing about the other shoe dropping. Another thing that's going on in the child's mind is, okay, I'm succeeding, but I won't be able to do everything perfectly. So I might as well sabotage it all because I'm going to fail anyway. So let's just get the failure part over with. Or as I succeed, everybody's going to eventually see that I'm an imposter, and they're going to see that I'm not as great as my job is making me look. So, you know what, let's just sabotage it all. And so shame causes the sabotage. Shame wins out. Then with the fear of abandonment, what happens is the other person's eventually going to get to see the authentic me and see that I'm not much of a catch, to see that I'm a terrible person. The shame lies. So they're going to abandon me eventually. So, you know what, let's just get it over with. I will either abandon them first, or I will do a bunch of stuff to sabotage the relationship so that they will abandon me. I'll push them to abandon me. Or codependency can be part of this. So if I keep growing, eventually I'm going to have greater and greater distance between my partner or my family who's refusing to grow, and I'm going to lose them. So, you know what? Let's just sabotage this recovery stuff because I don't want to lose them. So I'll sabotage it so I hang on to very unhealthy, toxic people because I need that relationship for some reason. There's another reason people sabotage, and that is when you've grown up with most of your subconscious templates about what is normal being unhealthy, then when you do something healthy, it feels wrong. So if you grew up with narcissists and that was your normal, when you now have a relationship with a healthy person, it feels weird, it feels wrong. If you grew up where you were trained to deny your needs and that you were being selfish, if you took care of yourself and now you start to take care of yourself and meet your needs, that feels wrong. That feels selfish. So what happens for a lot of people is to go from an unhealthy template to try to go to a healthy template feels wrong. It feels weird. It feels very uncomfortable. It puts you into this situation where you go, I don't like this feeling. It feels just bad. You know what? Let's sabotage it all and go back to what feels normal, what feels comfortable. There's another reason people sabotage, and that's guilt. I've dealt with many clients who their life starts succeeding and they go, I don't deserve this good life because of the bad stuff I've done. I need to sabotage all that's going well so I go back to failing because that's what I deserve. So sabotage becomes part of complex trauma because there's so many fears that come out of the different issues created by complex trauma. And so part of recovery is realizing, becoming aware of the times when my impulse to sabotage kicks in. And often it could start subconsciously, but I become aware of it and I go, whoa, I'm not going to sabotage here. I am going to trust the process and I'm going to get out of my limbic brain, get back into my cortex and stick with the plan. And they become very thankful that they did. The next fear is fear of conflict. Most people from complex trauma don't deal well with conflict. They hate conflict. So in a healthy home, you realize conflict is part of every relationship. You don't always agree. You misunderstand each other. You have different tastes and preferences. You do things sometimes accidentally that hurt each other. So conflict becomes part of normal relationships. But what happens is the goal is we want to resolve it. We want to grow from this. Both of us want to grow. We want this to turn into improving our relationship, fixing a problem. So you work at it with respect. You work at it out of love. You work at it with a desire to grow, and that's what happens. So conflict turns into a very positive growth thing. Not so in complex trauma. Nothing good comes out of conflict in complex trauma. There's always going to be a winner and a loser. And the person who wins is going to punish the people who lose. So you're not going to lose the argument. You are going to get then shamed. You are then going to get love withheld from you. You're going to get punished somehow. So on top of the conflict and the stress of the conflict, then you get hurt piled on. Then you get more punishment and other hurts piled on, so that conflict always results in more pain. Nothing good comes out of it. A ton of damage takes place. It is a bad thing. And so for many people coming out of complex trauma, conflict to them is to be avoided at all costs. So their commitment is keep the peace, never rock the boat. Take care of the other person's emotions if they're starting to get a little upset so that it doesn't result in conflict. So do whatever they want to make them happy so that they don't get mad. Tell lies, deny problems, sweep stuff under the rug, stick your head in the sand, just agree with who's ever in power, be a yes man. Avoid conflict. Conform to whatever rules and expectations they have to keep them happy. That's the only way to have peace. That's the only way to have any chance of happiness. Now that gives short-term truces, but doesn't give true peace because you never feel safe. You can't be authentic. You're not fully accepted. And so it doesn't truly work. So in recovery, I have found for many people coming out of complex trauma that learning to enter into conflict, learning to do conflict well is scary. But once they start to experience it and learn the tools and see the benefits that come out of healthy conflict, it is a very important part of their growth. Now, this is connected to the next fear. People coming out of complex trauma have a fear of angry people. So an angry person to them is a person who is dysregulated and therefore has great difficulty controlling themselves. They're so angry, they have a powerful impulse that they cannot control to lash out and hurt people, and somebody will get hurt. So An angry person is a person that loses their ability to control how they act, the impulses they have, because their anger is so intense. And so tremendous damage will always be in their wake. Somebody is going to get hurt, but they've also realized growing up that an angry person who's promised to never say something disrespectful, to never hit somebody again, when they're angry, they forget all about those boundaries. They walk all over the boundaries they've set for themselves, and then when they're angry, if you try to set a boundary and say, you said you would never do this, or stay out of my room, they do not respect your boundaries. So an angry person loses all their filters, loses their ability to have internal boundaries and stick to them, and does not respect the boundaries of others. And then they realize if you try to reason with somebody when they're angry, they can't be reasoned with because they're totally in their limbic brain with cortisol pumping, and they are irrational. So an angry person, you cannot resolve it. You cannot help them. You cannot help yourself. So the only solution is stay away. Stay out of their way. Get as far as you can away from an angry person. So today, for many people coming out of complex trauma, when they see somebody angry, they immediately go into high alert. They immediately go into a strong desire to flight, to flee, to avoid this angry person. It is a powerful impulse. That's what their brain has concluded after years of seeing the damage that angry persons do. Now let's go on to the next fear. And it's the fear of losing what gives them value. So we saw that shame results in trying to get value from the wrong things. So your body, your possessions, your brains, your money, all of those things. So here's what happens. So think of a woman who's got her sense of value from her looks, her beauty, and her body. And that's got her tons of respect. She's been able to get her needs met because of that. She gets what feels like love often because of that. But then she's starting to get into her 40s. And so age and gravity are starting to take their effect on her body and on her looks. She is starting to lose what's given her value. That creates a ton of fear. That creates great insecurity. And so what happens for many people is, and this is what sometimes gets classified as a midlife crisis, is all of a sudden they are running around getting cosmetic surgery. They're putting tons of time and effort into exercising, into getting lotions and all kinds of different things to try and prevent the aging of their body, because they are in great fear of losing what gives them value. Because in their mind, once they've lost their beauty and their body, they are a zero. They have no value. Think of a person whose all their values come out of performance, their job. They're very good at what they do. It gets them respect. It gets them all their needs met. Now they're coming up on retirement. And so all of a sudden they have this tremendous insecurity. What's going to happen to me? Who am I? Do I have any value now? Will anybody respect me anymore? Will anybody want to be my friend anymore? The same fear kicks in. Or think of a person who's gained all their value from their money and their possessions. But then a hurricane hits and they lose their home, they lose their business. And so all of a sudden, all of the things that gave them value are threatened. They've lost their money. Or let's say the economy crashes and they lose their money. They have to declare bankruptcy. That creates tremendous fear. Who then am I? What value do I have? So most people don't realize that they have this fear until something is threatened, something that they were depending on to give them value. So they start aging, or they're approaching retirement, or there's a natural disaster, or the economy crashes. But it could also be they're in a car accident, or they have some other health problems, or some other type of accident, and all of a sudden they're disabled. All of a sudden it affects their mental health. It affects their ability to use their brain the way they used to. It gives them limitations they didn't have before. When things get threatened due to external circumstances, things that I depended on for value, all of a sudden this fear rushes. Now who am I? Probably everybody now looks down on me. Shame begins to take over. So this, again, to me, is why it's so important in recovery to deal with shame, to get out of that mindset that I don't have any inherent value. All my value comes out of the externals of my life, to I have value. If I lose my looks, if I have an accident, if the economy crashes and I lose my money, I can get through that. I'm still valuable. I'm still okay. That is such an important piece in the growth journey.